Hey guys, it's Sarah here. Welcome back to my channel. So today I have for you my if you loved Untouchable, then you'll like this. Now, I loved Untouchable. It's one of my favorite books by Mariano, and I thought that I feel like you're so far away. Hold on. Okay. Is that better? Is that better? I think that's better. Anyway, so as I was saying, so I love Mariano. She's one of my favorite authors. I kind of went through a thing last year where I read a lot of books that were similar to Untouchable. So if you don't know, Untouchable follows a girl named Zoe who finds herself in a bit of trouble with her town because she accuses their star football player of assaulting her. And so he ends up getting kicked off the team, and it's a very football-oriented town, and so nobody's very happy with her, including one of their other star players, Carter Mahoney, who is like the rich kid of this town. And so you start off the book with him and two other football players kind of cornering her in a room, and he ends up assaulting her in the very beginning. Like, he sexually assaults her. He doesn't rape her, he just sexually assaults her. So if you don't like that, know that going in, you're probably not going to like this story. And the story kind of goes from there, where he decides from that point on that she is going to be his to ruin her life or to make her happy. He's kind of undecided in the beginning, but either way, she's his and she belongs to him. And it's their romance. So I picked out 10 books that I thought gave me those same kind of bully / psychopath vibes. And yeah, so let's go ahead and get into it. So I have my iPad here where I wrote down all the books. So let's go ahead. So the first one is one that was my favorite book of last year. And, well, not the favorite. It's a toss-up between a couple of them, but they were all by the same author. And that is Lawless Kingdom by Natalie Bennett. So this book is a bully, dark romance. But it's not really a bully romance. It's hard to explain, but basically you follow Rhiannon, who at the beginning of the book, she seems like she has the very perfect life. Like, she has cool parents, she has a great boyfriend, a great best friend, and her life seems to be going well as she goes into her senior year. And as the story progresses, her boyfriend starts to act odd, and she doesn't really understand why. So one day she follows him to a party that he didn't invite her to, but he was going. And she thinks what she's going to do is catch him cheating. Little does she know that she has caught the eye of Judas Barron. And Judas is the son of the richest family in their town. And he decides very quickly that Rhiannon is his and nobody else's. And then as that goes on, the story kind of unfolds, and you realize that there's more going on behind the scenes than just that. But it is very good. I will say, though, with Natalie Bennett, she does write very dark books. So there's definitely trigger warnings for torture, murder. I don't think there's sexual assault in here. But yeah, it gets a little bit dark. This one is not the darkest book I've ever read. It's kind of like in the middle ground, but I really enjoyed it, and it definitely gave me Untouchable vibes. So next I have The Golden Boy by Rachel Jonas. Sorry. So this one follows Blue, who ends up not having a great life. Her parents kind of suck. Her dad's a drunk. Her mom has just left them. Her brother has just gone to jail for murder, and it's just her trying to take care of her little sister. And so before her brother went to jail, he ended up putting a like application in for this very elite school, and she gets in. And she's kind of reluctant to go because that means she's leaving her sister at this other school alone while she goes to this school across town. But she ends up accepting because she wants to kind of make a better life for them. And she gets there and things are not what they seem. She ends up in a lot of trouble with these three guys who kind of rule the school. They're like the star football players, and they're all the Goldens, basically. So there's a romance between her and one of the guys, West. And basically, West has it in for her because he believes that she is having an affair with his father. Now, that's not a spoiler. It's literally, he says it in the beginning that he hates her because she is having an affair. He doesn't tell her that, but that's what he believes. And along the way, even though he's supposed to be hating her, he also is falling in love with her at the same time. So he's kind of hating himself, he's hating her, he's hating his dad, and there's a lot more going on behind the scenes of what's happening or what he believes is happening than even he knows. So this definitely gave me Untouchable vibes in the way that Wes kind of treats Blue, where he'll have moments where he's like in love with her and will do anything for her, and then it also kind of guts you when he like stabs her in the back. It's it's like a give and take with their relationship, and I loved it. I loved it so much. I like binged all three of the first books, which are their romance, and then after that it's the other two guys' romances, but I didn't read those yet, so. But good. All right, so then I have the Royal Elite series by Rena Kent. Now, my favorite books out of the series are the first three, but the whole series, for the most part, is all like bully romances if you just want to read through all of them. But the first three follow Aiden and Elsa, and Elsa has just started at Royal Elite School because she's moved in with her aunt and uncle after like the death of both of her parents, and she's like trying to get over that. She has some health problems she's trying to live with, and so she's just trying to keep her head down and graduate because she only has 2 more years. And in comes Aiden, who sees her and immediately hates her, and she doesn't really understand why he's so mean to her, why he's so cruel, but he just immediately decides that he's going to ruin her, and he literally says he's going to ruin her life in the beginning or something like that. He says something along those lines, and from that point on she makes it her mission to do the opposite of anything that he wants her to do. And along the way, between their like cat and mouse type of relationship, they end up falling for each other, and they kind of realize that the whole story is bigger than either one of them ever knew, behind what happened to her parents, why his family is the way it is. It's a lot going on, but it's so good, so good. And if you read it, you'll get why I say untouchable vibes. All right, and then the next book is also by Raina Ken, but it's the Next Gen series that she did. So it's like the gods of something. I can't remember what it's called, but it's something like that. But it's the kids to some of these books in the series, and so this one follows Jeremy and Cicely. And Cicely is the daughter of Kimberly from this 4th book. So it's Elsa's best friend from the book I just talked about. So Cicely kind of makes a promise to one of her friends that she'll do whatever it takes to bring down these guys from, oh, what is the school called? Oh, I really can't remember. But basically, it's like these two rival schools, and her best friend is like from her best friend, well, what she believes is her best friend, ask for her help in kind of getting dirt and secrets on these guys from this rival school. And so she kind of sneaks into one of their parties and tries to get their secrets. And she ends up getting caught, but not in a way she expected. And she ends up getting caught by Jeremy. And he is immediately like attracted to her, and he's obsessed with her. And I just loved it because she is attracted to him, but she doesn't really understand why. And also, this friend that she's supposed to be helping, she's been in love with for ages, so she doesn't really understand why she's all of a sudden attracted to this new guy. And I loved it. I loved it so much. It was so good. It was spicy, but it was also like you got two very like unsure characters who are so used to their own way that they're not really sure on how to change or be better for the other person, and it just fantastic. It was so good. The next one I have is the Sainthood series by Siobhan Davis, and this one I thought was going to be a reverse harem, but it's not. It kind of gives off the vibes that it is in the beginning, but it's not. So if no, am I wrong? Oh my gosh, I'm talking about the wrong book. Okay, so this one is reverse harem. Take it back, and it's between Harlow, Saint, Galen, Kaz, and Theo. And in the beginning of the story, you meet Harlow, and her dad has just died, and she's going through a lot of grief. She doesn't really understand why this happened, how it happened. And she goes to talk to her boyfriend about it, and she ends up catching him cheating on her. And so to get back at him, she decides to sleep with his rivals, which are these four guys. And so she sleeps with them. She understands, like, you sleep with them and then they're done. They don't sleep with the same person more than once. But she didn't really care. She was doing it for revenge more than anything else. And then some time passes, and her mom tells her she's getting married. And she's marrying the father to one of these guys that she slept with. And so she's marrying Saint's dad. And Harlow doesn't really understand it because this dad is an awful person, and she has met him before, but she doesn't really want to say anything to her mom until she's sure of what's actually going on. Because her mom starts acting strangely. It's just a lot of things happening. But yeah, this story, it was wild. So going into it, understand that it is wild. It is not really Untouchable vibes in that it is like psychopath or psychopathic hero romance. It's Untouchable vibes because it does have that like odd relationship type vibes where you don't really understand why the two characters like each other, or in this case, why the four characters like each other, because they all have very different emotions. It is slightly poly too, because it's female and then male, 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 because there's four guys. Wow. How did I? Anyway, but it does give off like, it's like nobody can hurt her but me vibes in that sense. So like these four guys are all willing to like kill for her, and like they'll hurt her and kind of hurt her feelings and make her upset, but nobody else is allowed to. And I feel like that's the Untouchable vibes that I got from this. Okay, so the next book I have, or the next series I have, is the Sick Boys series and the first book is Pretty Little Savage by Lucy Smoke. And so this one follows Avalon, and she receives a scholarship to attend this elite college in her town, city, however you want to call it, that she wouldn't have normally been able to attend because she's from kind of like the wrong side of town, if you want to put it that way. And so she gets to the school. She understands it's like a great opportunity for her to kind of make it out of her town or her bad side where she's from. And so she ends up meeting these guys, and they are like the kings of this campus. Basically, they rule over the campus, and people kind of bow down to them because they're from prominent families, and they just kind of are. And she pretty much makes it her mission to do the exact opposite of everything that they want. And it's not a reverse harem. She only ends up with one of the guys, Declan. And they clash so hard, where she kind of fights against everything that he says to stand on her own 2 feet, and at the same time she also is willing to give in to his whims at points. I didn't love the first one as much as I felt like it got better as the series went on. The second book is definitely my favorite one out of the 3. I feel like where it gave me Untouchable vibes is in the fact that she is willing to stand up for what she believes in, even if it's not what they believe in. And in Untouchable, Zoe is a really strong character. Like, yeah, she does give in to Carter at points, but she also makes up her own mind, which is kind of what got her in trouble in the first place, to be honest. But also, it's what makes her who she is and what makes the story so good. Alright, so the next one I'm going to talk about is The Boys of Brayshaw by Megan Brandy. And this series is a bully romance. I was going to say reverse harem, but it's not. It follows Raven, and it's a romance between Raven and Maddox. And Raven ends up in this group home when her mom basically just up and disappears and never comes back. And she gets found by the social worker, and the social worker takes her to this all-girls group home. And the group home is next to the Boys of Brayshaw. Now, in this world, there are 2 rival groups. So there's Brayshaw, and then there's, it's like Crest Hill or something like that it's called. And Raven has kind of found herself in the middle of this rivalry. Not that she tried to be there or she planned on being there, it just kind of happened. And so she's kind of being tugged in 2 different directions, but at the same time she's drawn to Maddox and his 2 brothers, and it's a story of like figuring out herself, where she came from, why her life is the way it is, because there's a lot of other things going on about more with her mom, who sucks as a parent, more with who her dad is, because she doesn't know who that is, and she's like trying to figure that out as well. It's a lot, but it's a really great story. If you have the patience, I would read all 3, because I think you need it to get the whole story. But so good. And then so I'm down on my last 3. So the next one I have is the Elite Kings Club by Amo Jones, and I'm gonna say the first, what is it, 1, 2, I think the first 3 books, it's either 2 or 3. Silver Swan, Broken Puppet, and I think there's one more after that. The first ones that follow Bishop and Maddie are my favorite. Well, no, I'm lying. Okay, take it back. They are my favorite, but that first book is not. So let me clarify. because I gave Silver Swan 2 stars. Because I just felt like it was so chaotic and all over the place. But the other ones following that, I really enjoyed. I did film a whole vlog of me reading this series. I just never posted it. I probably should, though. Maybe I will. Because I did actually read the whole series and filmed it. But anyway, I'm veering off. But Bishop and Maddie are definitely very reminiscent of Carter and Zoe. So basically, Maddie has moved to this new town with her dad, who has just up and told her he got remarried and his new wife has a son. And they're all moving into the house together. And she's just like, wow, you're springing this on me. You didn't bother to tell me any of this was happening. And so from there, her new stepmother's new son, or not new son, her new stepmother's son is a part of the Elite Kings Club. And it starts off where you think she's going to end up with him, but she doesn't. She ends up with Bishop, who is like the leader of their group. And he is very antagonistic towards her. He like tries to egg her on. They very much are attracted to each other but don't want to be, and they don't really understand why they're so attracted to each other, and the relationship is just borderline toxic without being completely toxic. It's so good. So then I have a moral confessions by Art Holmes, and this one I think I found it on Instagram. It was like an Instagram rec or something like that. And it's about a girl named Valentina who she's studying in the library late one night, and she goes to a Catholic school, by the way. And so she's studying late one night and she hears some stuff, and she ends up seeing something that she wasn't meant to see. And so in order to keep their secret, these guys kind of decide to ruin her life and make it hell, to make sure that she's scared enough to never tell their secret. And she ends up falling for like the leader of this group, and what's his name? I want to call him like Declan or something, but that's not his name. Reese, that's his name, Reese. So she ends up falling for Reese, and it's basically this book. If you like good groveling, that's in here, because he very quickly realizes that not only did she not plan to tell anybody, but she actually genuinely cared about him. And so he makes it his mission to make up for all the bad things he did. And then the last one I have on this list is another series, and it's a reverse harem as well. And it's Boneyard Kings by Becca Steele and Silamari. I think that's how you say it. So it follows Everly, and she ends up attending this college because her uncle is the dean, and her dad, I think it was, or her dad and her mom, basically her uncle to take care of her. Her parents are gone, and she ends up attending a school because he's the dean. And while she's there, she ends up meeting these guys, and they are investigating what happened to their foster father who took them in, and also what happened to their other brother, because he just disappeared, and then they found his body and nobody knows what happened, or nobody's saying what happened to him. So, and they believe that the dean is one of the people behind what happened to their brother. And so to get close to the dean, they decide to focus in on Everly. And it's basically them realizing that there's no love lost between her and her uncle. She kind of dislikes him almost as much as they do, and she's willing to do whatever it takes to help them figure out what happened to the members of their family. So that's it. That is the end of this video. As usual, I'll leave all the books linked down below. Give this video a thumbs up if you like it, and subscribe if you want to. And like I said, if you love Untouchable, really try and read these books because they're very good. I promise. I promise they're all really good. But anyway, yeah. I'll see you. Bye, guys.